back in the LSU Football Operations Building Recruiting Lounge. I'm Lee Feinswag at Sports 225, hanging out with Les Miles, the LSU football coach, who, as we're actually recording this, it's just before the weekend, which is the off week, which is before this year's Game of the Century. Help me out a little bit on recruiting. And I had this argument with somebody recently, and you and I probably discussed this before, but the importance of being able to recruit outside Louisiana. And I give you an example, Kevin Minter. He's one of those guys. Where in the world did he come from? And of course, he came from Georgia.
Yeah, and what it amounts to is generally, year in and year out, the state of Louisiana is first. It's we go no further than the people in this state and the great players in this state, and with the opportunity to get them a great degree, great future, and have the opportunity to play for a national championship. Now, that being said, it's not like that every year a full slate of a team can be provided to LSU from the state of Louisiana. And so occasionally you reach outside the state, for some of the best players. And certainly Kevin Minter is one. I mean, he's a guy that comes in and really, takes a couple of years to get his feet on the ground. And really, I have to give John Chavis great credit here. I think he is just a masterful coach mentor for linebackers. The number of NFL linebackers that he's produced has just been really.
Well, Minter's become just a linebacker wrecking crew.
Well, and that's him. He's always been very physical. Always had a physical knack for tackling and toughness. But he's playing so much more key wary and understanding where he's supposed to be. It's becoming intuitive. He's playing, more natural, if you will, and it's making a great difference to our defense. He's special. He really is.
Well, speaking of your defense, I mean, it's really good, and it's good with a caveat, because when before the season began, you lost Tyrann Mathieu, who was a person you expected to be the cornerstone of the defense. And you lose him, and yet this defense is every bit as good as last year's defense, which is every bit as good as the year before's defense, and on and on and on. You got one heck of a defense.
Yeah, I like our guys. I think there's a real strong culture on the defensive side. Take the line of scrimmage, and come off the football. I think there's I think we have great speed, and we are a physical group, and our guys know how to cover. So, that being said, we play our best. Defensively, we're going to get that other offense off the field.
Last year you played Alabama, and we really have not talked about the Alabama game, but you play them in the regular season. You beat them 9-6 in overtime in a game. It's still mystifying that there was never a touchdown scored. And then you play them in the national championship game. And it's unfortunate for you how it turned out, because up to that point, you maybe had the best team in college football history. And had you won that game unequivocally, I think it would have been declared the best football team in college history. You play them again coming up now, this game. Can you, for the average person, just describe what this rivalry is like, the intensity, what it's like maybe in your coaching offices and the meetings leading up to the practices, the actual game day?
Well, let's equate it with playing, a very, very capable opponent and wanting to play your best versus a very capable opponent. I think that is a cornerstone of every quality football program, every quality competitor that there is. When you line up to play against, that opponent that will challenge you greatly, you need to play your best. And I think that our football team understands that. We owe each other. We owe the people in this program, the opportunity to play our best.
Do you guys coach your best too? Does the coaching level go up a notch?
We certainly would aspire to have that happen, I promise.
Is it a little more tense? Is there a little more, because all of you coaches are former football players and you're very competitive.
Yeah, well, I
I'd
think
just be curious to know about, maybe how much arguing there might be over a particular sequence, what we're going to do in this situation, who believes in which kid more, who overrules who. I bet it gets spicy now and then.
Yeah, I think that there's a real cohesiveness in our coaching staff. I think we understand the work together, the need to work together, and we rely on the expertise that's in the room. And it's It's always intense. There's never a week that goes by that there's not a quality decision made based on a play call. And that being said, the bigger the game, certainly the more intense the preparation.
You have an offensive game plan that you put forth for a game, for this situation, and I know you've talked about before. Well, situationally, we're going to do this, that, or the other. How many actual hours are spent developing what will be that game plan in those situations before you play Alabama?
Well, I no more than any other game week. I can just tell you that I've never counted hours. It's not something that happens. The only thing that we do in our program is make sure that our player hours are counted because they're NC2A regulated. And
oh yeah,
and
protecting himself against the NCAA. I know they can only practice 20 hours a week.
Not practice, but meet the entire piece, and certainly that's important. I wouldn't want to do it any differently anyway because there's no reason to spend that kind of time on your legs. You have to be fresh when you go to work.
But that's the kids.
That's
Coaches,
kids.
you guys go forever.
Well, I hate to tell you, it's more of a call than it is a need to stay. You know what I mean? It's not you want to be there. You want to invest that moment. You want to go through that detail that makes that play work. And that being said, I've never counted hours. It's just not something that's ever appealed to me. I think our coaching staff, really all three phases, will put in a number of hours to make sure that this game plan's a correct one.
It's going to be very exciting, no matter what. This year's game of the century. Before we go, can I ask you, in the last year and a half, you've continued to win. You've set a really, really high standard, and you've rolled with an incredible amount of punches. You and I did the show last year, right before the start of the season. Remember, we came over to the house, and it was just a day or two before you found out about Steve Cragthorpe having an illness to deal with, which was just a couple of days before the bar fight at Shady's, which was just a couple of months before having players get suspended during the season. To, this week you got guys who used to play for you getting arrested, and you've had all the injuries, the things we talked about on the offensive line, and just on and on and on. How do you roll with the punches there with that? And are there parts of you that just are damaged internally? You might be maybe sad. I don't know.
Damaged internally.
I don't know.
Here's
these are
the good
people.
news.
There's a lot of people there who you trust and invest in, who let you down, and then there are other circumstances you couldn't control. Certainly, illness, nature, those things.
The great news is the great overriding good that's being performed in this program. The opportunity to get quality guys, their education, the opportunity to set up, future careers. What is a very consistent culture in this building, that hard work matters and that team is first. All of those things are the reason that a program like this is so buoyant, because it is being done well, it is being done right, and occasionally a person can not represent those values and those that culture when they go forward. And frankly, we've invested in them and wish them the very best, and hope that in fact things work out for them still. But we're going to do it right here, and it's that understanding that allows us in this building to go and be motivated and looking forward to playing in games like the very next one.
Thank you for having us in the building.
My pleasure, Lee.
All right. Have a great weekend, and have a great fun time the rest of the way. And I look forward to sitting down with you again soon.
Thank you.
Okay. LSU football coach Les Miles. I'm Lee Feinswag. When I get back on Sports 225, we'll wrap up the show with Derek Panamsky from BayouBengalsInsider.com.